Hey guys, Zack here, and welcome back to another action figure review, and today we'll be taking a look at the Bandai movie monster series Godzilla 2001. Now, this version of Godzilla comes from the 2001 film Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah Giant Monsters All Out Attack. That is a very long name, so I'm just going to call it GMK for short, which is what everyone else calls it, but I digress. Anyway, what do I think about this movie? Well, seeing as how the director of the Heisei Gamera movies directed this movie, obviously, this one's going to be one of my favorites. I really like GMK. I think it's a very good movie. I will say, I think the ending feels a little anticlimactic, and I like the original script more, where instead of Mothra and King Ghidorah, it was going to be Varan and Anguirus. I think that would have been much cooler. But Mothra and King Ghidorah, it's still like, them being there is still not horrible, but again, I would have preferred the original, vision of Baragon, Anguirus, and Varan. That would have been cooler. But besides that, GMK is a very good movie, and I highly recommend that you check it out. So, yeah. I don't really know what else to say, so let's just get right into this. Before we take a look at Godzilla himself, or Godzilla itself, okay, Toho, we'll take a quick look at the tag, and the tag here looks nice. For the front here, we have a nice screenshot from GMK. At the bottom here, we have Godzilla 2001, both in Japanese and in English. Godzilla 2024, and the Godzilla logo here. On the back, we have Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Out Attack in Japanese here. Godzilla's dorsal plates, Bandai Namco 3. Movie Monster Series, Bandai, and some more information here. On the inside, we have a lot of legal information. We have a little bio of GMK Godzilla. I don't know what that says, but if you want to get out Google Translate and read that, be my guest. And unfortunately for mine, mine came in with a rip here, which is very annoying, but I digress. Anyway, that's it for the tag. Now going back to Godzilla, to start, we'll take a look at the paint. And the painting on this figure is very nice, so let's take a closer look. So as you can see, the entirety of this figure is casted in this charcoal grayish coloration, which I think looks very nice. Godzilla's toenails and fingernails are painted white. Though on mine, one of his toenails has a bit of a paint chip, which is not the end of the world, but it's still a little annoying. I'm not going to lie. But anyway, the dorsal plates here are painted white. And the rest of the tail here, it's actually it's kind of cool what they did here. So they didn't paint the entirety of the tail white. They actually painted like the top of the tail itself like a grayish coloration, but like the dorsal plates themselves are like more of a whitish coloration. So there's a little bit of like a color difference between the top of the tail and the dorsal plates. And I think it looks very good. It's not incredible. It's still a movie monster series figure, but still, like, it looks nice. I really like it. Now going to Godzilla's head here, we can see that his eyes are painted white, and his pupils are also painted white. His teeth here are painted yellow, or a yellowish-whitish color, I should say. And the tongue here is actually painted a very dark shade of red. I wish it was a little brighter, because it can be a little hard to see, but the tongue is painted, so yeah. And that's pretty much it for the painting on this figure. Overall, I think it's very good. The paint chip on the toenail, that's annoying, and I wish the tongue was painted a brighter shade of red, but still, overall, the painting here looks nice, It's everything it needs to be. And that's all I want in a movie monster series figure, I don't want, like, high quality, Da Vinci level of, like, paint on these figures, I just want the bare minimum. I just want, everything that should be painted, painted. It drives me up the wall when I see a movie monster series, Godzilla figure that isn't painted all the way, or there's just paint missing in, like, very noticeable spots. Like, even Godzilla store exclusive figures, like, the painting is usually, sometimes not painted all the way, and it's just annoying. But here, everything that needs to be painted is painted, and it looks nice. So, the painting on this figure, I'd say gets a pass. Now, we'll take a look at the articulation, and I don't really have a lot to say here, because it's a Bandai vinyl. What else can I say? but the arms can move 360. Actually, I will say that not only can the arms move 360, but they just barely get past the thighs here. Like, if the thighs were a hair thicker, then I don't think we'd be able to do this. But the fact that we can, like, as tight as it is, I think that's pretty funny. So, yeah. But anyway, speaking of the legs, they can move 360 as well. And that's pretty much it for the articulation. Again, not a whole lot to say. So, for a Bandai vinyl, I'd say it gets a pass. Now, we'll take a look at the sculpt. And the sculpting on this figure, I think, looks very good. I think this is pretty much one-to-one to what we see in GMK, you know? And the proportions look good, too. Nothing's too big, or too small, or too out of place, or anything like that. Overall, this is GMK Godzilla at its finest, so yeah. And it's also just really weird seeing, like, a nice-looking Bandai vinyl of, you know, GMK Godzilla. Because the only one I had growing up was the Bandai Creation one, which was one of my favorite figures growing up. Don't get me wrong, but it didn't look that great. Looking back and comparing it to the actual movie, it didn't look that great. But this guy looks great. So, yeah. The sculpting here, I'd say is great. So the sculpting definitely gets a pass. Now, we'll take a look at the detailing. And the detailing on this figure, I think, looks very good. So let's take a closer look. So starting off at the head here, we can see all the bumps and ridges in the face here is detailed very nicely. And the nostrils here look great. Everything here is just very nicely defined. And then we get to, like, the back of the head, and all, like, the little scales on the back of his head and everything are just detailed beautifully. And we get that, you know, scaling throughout the body here, which is detailed very nicely. Just very well defined and just overall looks great. We have some nice musculature in the arms here, which looks very good. Very good indeed. And again, like the side of the body here, just the rest of, like, just that really nice looking scaling here. That's just, again, just really well defined. And even the legs here, again, a lot of really nice musculature and, like, the scales on the knees here and everything. And even, like, the toes here have a nice bit of detailing as well. The front of the torso, again, looks great. All the scaling here, it really pops out. It's just very well defined. It looks great. You know, when we get that scaling throughout the tail here, which, again, I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but I can't stress this enough. Like, all the scaling here is detailed very nicely. Everything here is just detailed beautifully. You know, all, like, the creases in the tail and everything like that. The bottom of the tail, again, we just have some more creases, which looks really nice. And lastly, the dorsal plates are detailed very nicely as well. And we have sort of like some bumps on the dorsal plates here that look nice, but also just, like, you know, the textures as a whole just looks very nice. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for the detailing on this figure. The detailing here is very solid, so the detailing on this figure, I'd say, definitely gets a pass. Now, we'll do some size comparisons. To start, here we have my original Bandai Creation Godzilla 2001. Now, this guy was one of my favorite figures growing up, so this guy has a very special place in my heart, but I'm sorry, this guy's better, no question. Here we have another figure that isn't really great, but it still has a lot of sentimental value to me. Here we have the NECA Godzilla 2001. Now, this figure means a lot to me because this figure came out during my sophomore year of high school. And I remember between, like, October and November, I would always try to look for this guy. I'd always go to my local mall and I'd try to look for him. I never found him, so I just ended up getting him, you know, online. But after getting him in hands, it felt really good. Like, searching for him was fun too, even if I came out empty-handed, but actually getting him in, like, you know, in hand was really nice. So, again, far from a great figure, but this guy still means a lot to me as well. Here we have another figure that I got during my sophomore year of high school. Here we have the SH Monster Arts Godzilla 2001. It's really weird because this figure also means a lot to me, and it's just kind of funny to me how both of these figures not only mean a lot to me, but I both got them during my sophomore year of high school, and they both are from GMK. It's just funny how that works, but yeah, I got this guy for my 16th birthday, and yeah, I was really happy with him when I got him, and I'm still happy with him. This is a nice figure. I like it. And of course, here we have some hand sanitizer. And here we have Dr. Billy Grant. So at the end of the day, should you get this figure? I'd say yes. I think this figure turned out very nicely. I think the painting looks nice as far as Bandai Movie Monster Series figures go. I think the articulation, it's a Bandai vinyl, so don't expect a lot. The sculpting, the detailing, both of those look very good, and overall, I'm just really happy with this figure. It's nice to have a nice looking 6-inch Bandai vinyl of, this design for Godzilla. Because again, the only one I had growing up was the Bandai Creation one, which, again, I love that figure. Has a special place in my heart, but this guy just looks so much better. I'm sorry, but yeah, so I do recommend that you pick this figure up. As far as price tags go, now this figure, I got this figure from Hobby Link Japan, and I paid about between $20 to $25, which I think is a fair asking price. You do have to pay for shipping if you get this guy through Hobby Link Japan, which is an additional like $25 or so. So you might end up paying more than $40 for this guy in total. But honestly, I think it's worth it because, again, this is just such a nice figure, and I think it turned out very nicely. So, yes, I definitely recommend that you pick this figure up. So, yeah. Anyway, that is it for today. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video. Peace, Zack out.